Hello, hello, and welcome. Welcome to everyone who is here today. If you're new, don't forget to subscribe, click on the bell button so that whenever there's something new, you get to hear about it first. So last week we asked the question, how do you win an argument without tears? Have you been in a situation where somebody was arguing a point and your own opinion of that topic is different and you were thinking, how do I help this person understand? If you stay with us till the end, today we'll be discussing the next three steps that you have to take for you to win an argument without tears. So, last week we talked about how to win an argument without tears, and we discussed three steps for you to take in order to win an argument without tears. The first step was welcome the disagreement. Number two was do not trust your first impulse. And number three was for you to control your temper. So number four today is for you to what? Be a good listener. Be a good listener. Active listening can save relationships and win you millions. You can make millions by just listening to people actively. There are stories of people who, by just the virtue of them listening to people, have been able to solve problems, and with that, they've earned themselves millions. So it is important that you be a good listener. Be a good listener and listen actively. Don't just listen to reply, listen to understand. Most times we are eager to give a reply without listening to the crop of the matter. So understand the matter, understand what the person is saying, and before you even think of a reply, take note of what the person is saying. Be benevolent enough to listen to what the person is saying. Be patient enough to listen to what the person is saying and let the person finish his thought. Resist the urge to interrupt. Most times, when we hear things that negate what we stand for, we are eager to interrupt. Please do not interrupt. I have come to learn this in business as well. It is important for you not to interrupt a person when he is talking. Allow a person talk. Let them finish their point. Remember how you feel when you are interrupted. It feels when you're talking and somebody interrupts you, you feel disrespected. So that's the same way the person is feeling. So allow the person talk without interruption. When the person is talking, the words that should be coming from you is okay, okay, I see. So encourage the person to talk. Do not interrupt the person. Contend not with your opponent. Do not contend with your opponent. Do not resist or debate. Remember, when you are resisted, you always build more barriers to defend your point. So that is the same feeling your opponent has. When you start contending with him as he is talking, you are saying no, 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 that is not so. You are making him to build more barriers, because that's the same way you feel when you're talking and somebody say no, incorrect. We remember the argument between Trump and Hillary, and he kept interrupting her and he was saying false, 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 and it became irritating. So it is the same thing the person feels when a person is talking and you interrupt and you negate the person's ideas. It tells the person to go and find more artilleries in his shed, to find more guns so that he can fight you. So instead of you negating the person's points, just listen actively. What is active listening? Show the person by facial expression, by your gestures, by your answers. When a person is talking and maybe he asks a question, at least nod, okay, say yes, okay, or say okay, I see, I understand. Words like that shows that you are listening actively, and don't just do it just for doing sake. Really listen to the person. Develop bridges, not gaps. When your opponent is talking, think of common grounds. Think of places where your his opinion or his or her opinion aligns with your opinion. So look for where to build a bridge and not to create gaps. And that brings us to point number 5. Point number 5 is find common grounds. Access points of agreement. If you listen to the person actively, you would have found some points where both of you agree. That is the place you should start with. Start with, when you are giving a response, start with that point where both of you agree. Like in an argument, you say, we will both agree that this and this and this. Once you say that, the person's defenses are down because he sees that one, you've listened to him actively, him or her actively, and now you're saying that you agree on this point and that point. Build a bridge between your ideas with the commonalities. Build a bridge between your ideas and your ideas, your different ideas, with these common grounds that you found. Concentrate on the commonalities to show your opponent that you agree with their lines of thought. Spend more time talking about those common grounds, those similarities that you found. Spend more time talking about those things so that the person's guards are down. Demonstrate a sincere desire to connect. When you demonstrate, when you show the person that you are willing to understand his points and you have found some common points that you both agree on, the person is willing to listen to you. Number six point, sincerity brings serenity. Some people say honesty is the best policy. So sincerity brings serenity. Admit areas of aberration. Be sincere enough to pick out your own faults. This will disarm your opponent. A person who starts a fight by hitting himself makes the opponent either scared or amused and takes a liking to you. So the fact that you come into an argument and first of all you start looking at your points and picking out the errors you have made in your points makes it disarms your opponent entirely. So your opponent is open to hear what you have to say. Be bold to say that you made a blunder. If you've seen that you've actually made an error, be bold enough to say, I erred in so and so area. I might have been mistaken here and here and here. So the person knows that you are honest and you are coming into this argument not with your ego, but with the fact that you want a point to be made. Clearly apologize for making the error, clearly apologize for making the mistake in those areas. If you've made a mistake, clearly apologize. Now disarm your opponent with acceptance of error. Once you accept your error, the opponent is disarmed. Now we've seen how we calmed the opponent. We've seen how by welcoming the argument, we moved away from making the opponent aggressive. Okay, we also said that we shouldn't trust our first impulse, which will only aggravate the matter. We also said control your temper. That will also aggravate the matter. Now we said that you should learn to be a good listener. Now you've listened well, then you look for areas of agreement. You start with areas of agreement. That has started disarming your opponents already. And you being sincere and picking out error in your own reply or in your own stand will make the opponent will disarm the opponent totally. So next week we are going to be talking about the last 3 ways. We've discussed 6 ways now. Next week we are going to be discussing the last 3 ways in which you can totally disarm your opponent and even win the argument. So hope to see you next week. Comment if these lessons are making your life better, and with let's share with each other what is happening and how we can help each other. If you use the last three methods and it worked for you, put it in the comment section. Okay, see you later. Ciao.